Namaskar. Today we'll study anti-malarial drugs which act against malaria. And malaria is caused by this Plasmodium, a protozoa, and there are four species: Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium falciparum. In India, Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum are the two main species present. And this vivax and ovale as well as this falciparum cause torsion malaria. And this Plasmodium malariae produces quartan malaria because the symptoms occur at an interval of 48 hours in case of torsion, and at an interval of 72 hours in case of quartan malaria. So this Plasmodium vivax produces benign torsion malaria, and falciparum produces malignant torsion malaria. Here we call it as malignant because it is the severe form of malaria, and there is every chance of fatality. The patient dies because this Plasmodium feeds on the hemoglobin which is present in RBC. So Plasmodium mainly infects the RBC, and RBC contains hemoglobin and it feeds on hemoglobin. So the infected RBC and the normal RBC, they form a cluster, and that leads to blockage of the blood vessels, capillaries. That is called the rosette stage. So it is a characteristic feature of falciparum species where rosette stage is present, and there is blocking of the capillaries, and the blood supply to vital organs like brain, liver, etc. Stops, and that's why we call it as brain malaria or cerebral malaria, and there is hepatic dysfunction leading to jaundice. Okay. And second thing, if we discuss the life cycle of this Plasmodium, it has two hosts. One is human being and the other is female Anopheles mosquito, because male Anopheles mosquito does not feed on blood, so only females feed on blood. So female Anopheles mosquito is your sexual life cycle, and in human beings it is the asexual life cycle. And within the RBC, the erythrocytic stage is there, and before RBC, pre-erythrocytic stage is there, and there is another exoerythrocytic stage which is only present in your Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium ovale. In your Plasmodium falciparum, there is no exoerythrocytic stage. And the symptoms are malaise, headache, vomiting, chills, and in case of malaria, there will be enlarged spleen and liver, and there may be anemia also. So now let us discuss the life cycle of Plasmodium. And this when the mosquito bites, in its larva there are sporozoites, and in its saliva there is sporozoites, and those sporozoites enter our body and infect the liver. And in the liver they grow into the Seigen stage, and the Seigen burst, and the hepatocytes then release the merozoites, and these merozoites then can infect the RBC in blood, red blood cells, and in the blood they grow. So there will be early trophozoite stage, then signet ring stage, then the late trophozoite stage, and then finally Seigen stage, which again bursts and again releases the merozoites. So this cycle occurs. So this is called erythrocytic stage, and before this in liver it is called pre-erythrocytic stage. Some of the merozoites either released from the liver or from the RBC can again attack the fresh liver cells, hepatocytes, and can stay there in the dormant form, that is called hypnozoites. So the hypnozoites are the dormant forms which is present in the hepatocytes, and they can remain for some time, and they can again release. So this leads to relapse of malaria, in patients, and this occurs only in case of Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium ovale. Since Plasmodium falciparum does not have this stage, so this stage is called exoerythrocytic stage, which is absent in your Plasmodium falciparum but present in your Plasmodium vivax. After infecting the RBC, some of them are developed into gametes, and those gametes then when the mosquito bites, female Anopheles mosquito bites, then enter its stomach, and inside the stomach these gametes combine to form the zygote. Then zygote is developed into ookinete, ookinete is developed into oocyst, then oocyst development leads to the formation of the sporozoites, and these sporozoites then come to the saliva of the mosquito, and when again it bites somebody else, it releases the sporozoites. In this way this life cycle goes on, and in the female Anopheles mosquito this is called sexual life cycle, and this is called asexual life cycle, consisting of pre-erythrocytic stage, erythrocytic stage, and exoerythrocytic stage. This exoerythrocytic stage is absent in your Plasmodium falciparum. So what we can do, we can give blood sezonticides which act against the erythrocytic stage. Some of them act early, like your artemisinin, they act against the early phases, early trophozoite stage and signatoring stage, and then others, blood sezonticides, they act against the late trophozoite stage and scission stage, like chloroquine, quinine, etc. And we can use tissue sezonticides which can kill the hypnozoites, and drugs like primaquine can be used here. And then we can have chemoprophylactics which can inhibit this link between the pre-erythrocytic stage and erythrocytic stage by killing these merozoites. Then we can have gametocides which can kill the gametes present in blood, and we can also use sporontocides which will go to the mosquito stomach when it takes the blood from the patient, and that can inhibit the sporogony inside the mosquito. So they are the sporontocides, and they inhibit the formation of sporozoites. So now we can classify those drugs. So first, the blood sezonticides. The blood sezonticides can be fast acting or slow acting, and those fast acting can again be divided into which act on early trophozoites and signatoring stage, and they are the sesquiterpene trioxane lactone endoperoxides from Artemisia annua, that is artemisinin, and there are some oil soluble derivatives like artemether, arteether. There are some water soluble derivatives like artesunate, artelinate, and this artemisinin has a peroxide bridge which is responsible for its activity, and in presence of parasitic heme it breaks down and releases free radicals, causing oxidative stress on infected red cells, and the red cells die due to cytotoxicity, and ultimately there is the death of the parasite. So the fast acting blood sezonticides, then we can have those drugs which act on the late trophozoite and scission stage, and it includes a five group of drugs, at least 4 aminoquinolines like chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, amodiaquine, cinchona like quinine, quinoline, methanol like mefloquine, phenanthrene methanol like halofentrin, lumefantrine, and hydroxynaphthoquinone like atovaquone. And the mechanism here is, RBC contains hemoglobin, and hemoglobin consists of heme and globin, and this globin is the food for the malarial parasite, and this heme is toxic to the parasite. So what happens, the malarial parasite converts this toxic heme to non-toxic hemazoin by polymerization of heme by the enzyme heme polymerase. So the malarial parasite produces this enzyme heme polymerase and converts the toxic heme to non-toxic hemazoin, and this 1, 2, 3, all these three group of drugs, they inhibit the heme polymerase, so accumulate heme, and that will be toxic to the parasite. In addition, the chloroquine can also form complex with the DNA of the malarial parasite, that is additional mechanism for chloroquine. And this hydroxychloroquine is safer than chloroquine because chloroquine is associated with many toxicity like cardiotoxicity, retinal toxicity, and hydroxychloroquine is relatively safer than chloroquine, so it can be preferred. Then halofentrin, the phenanthrene methanol halofentrin in presence of ferritoporphyrin 11 forms a cytotoxic complex which damage the plasmodial membrane, and in this way this drug halofentrin acts. And atovaquone interferes with the mitochondrial electron transport in the parasite, and in this way atovaquone's mechanism is different from others. Then we have covered the fast acting blood seizure-anticides, and then we have slow acting blood seizure-anticides, and the slow acting blood seizure-anticides can be your biguanides like proguanil, chlorproguanil, diaminopyrimidines like pyrimethamine, sulfonamides and sulfones, and antibiotics like tetracycline, doxycycline, clindamycin, azithromycin, all these things. So these antibiotics inhibit protein synthesis, some by inhibiting 30S subunit and some by inhibiting 50S subunit. And all others, other slow-acting blood seizure-anticides, they inhibit DNA synthesis by inhibiting folic acid synthesis, and we know folic acid synthesis occurs in this way. Guanine produces dihydropteridine diphosphate, which is converted to dihydropteroic acid in presence of PABA by the enzyme pteroid synthetase. Then in presence of glutamic acid and folate synthetase, it is converted to pteroyl glutamic acid or folic acid, which is reduced by the enzyme dihydrofolate reductase or folate reductase to dihydrofolic acid, which is again reduced to tetrahydrofolic acid, and this tetrahydrofolic acid acts as the coenzyme to the enzyme thiamidylate synthetase, which converts the deoxyuridylate monophosphate to deoxythiamidylate monophosphate. This thymidine is required for DNA synthesis, so the DNA synthesis can be inhibited by all these slow acting blood seizure-anticides by inhibiting folic acid synthesis. So the biguanides and pyrimethamine, they inhibit the folate reductase enzyme, folate reductase or dihydrofolate reductase, the same enzyme, and the sulfonamides and sulfones, they are competitive inhibitors of PABA due to their structural similarity. Then we have the tissue seizure-anticide, and tissue seizure-anticides mainly act on liver and they kill the hypnozoites. And primaquine is the major drug. Primaquine disrupts the parasite mitochondria and kills the hypnozoites. And pyrimethamine also shows tissue seizure-anticidal action by inhibiting folic acid synthesis. And primaquine has a drawback in glucose 6-phosphodehydrogenase deficient patients. They produce hemolytic anemia because it by disrupting the mitochondria decreases the NADH, and normal persons can regenerate NADH, but these patients cannot regenerate NADH because of deficiency of this enzyme. And because of that, as you know, the RBC lifespan is only 120 days. It is difficult for these patients to produce more and more RBC, and the RBCs are destroyed. That leads to hemolytic anemia. So the gametocides, sporonticides, and chemoprophylactics, all these we have discussed in the when we have discussed the life cycle. Here the chemoprophylactics, gametocides and sporonticides, in this way they act, and this is all about your malaria and anti-malarial drugs. Thank you.